All right. This is the Diamond Geezers with Carlos, Finn, Peter, Jack from Japan, and yours truly, Ray. You're home, away from home, where the game never gets old.
A little late applause for Pete.
There you go.
Yes, he made it back.
Is that how they applaud in Japanese? Is that do the Japanese applaud?
No.
They applaud from right to left.
All right, we just
There's
lost
no way
the
I
entire
couldn't do a
Japanese
bow.
contingent.
I couldn't do a bow.
So Pete will share with us some of his experiences seeing a Japanese baseball game, right, Pete? At the end of the podcast. So tune in for that. Very insightful stuff Pete's going to bring to the table.
Slow down on that.
Yes, we're in the clubhouse, right? Giving massages, right?
But for now, we're going to start our show talking about Yankee This Week in Baseball, Mets This Week in Baseball, and Around the Horn. So, Vin, who are you going to start with?
Well, I'll start with it. We'll do good news first. We'll start with the Yankees.
Not the Mets?
No, well, there is some good news there. At least they did win, but we'll get to that in a few minutes.
Oh, okay.
Oh, it's with we got Met colors now for the
Yes,
Yankees?
I'm tired of the Yankee background color. Okay.
Well, the Yankees for the past week. Well, I think we should have Hector on more often because they didn't lose since we had him on. 6-0 for the week, 7-game winning streak, 17-9, top of the AL East, actually top of the entire American League, which was something we all talked about, that nobody in the American League had pulled away while the Yankees were kind of scuffling there. They completed the sweep of the Royals last weekend, but more sweeter, went to Boston and swept them, including the final game where Cam Schlittler was dominant again, death threats aside.
I'm about to say death threats, like really.
Yeah, he and his family were getting.
Well, in fairness, the fans applauded him when he came out in the mound. Come on, let's be fair.
Yeah, but they also sent them death threats.
Yeah.
Well, but they applauded him. I don't,
a sniper rifle, but they said sorry.
Have you not learned anything from Donnie Brasco? You go in out thing, you go in alive, you come out dead, and it's your best friend who does it to you. That's what they were doing. Death threats behind your back. We cheer you in your face, and as soon as you turn your back, it's all over. So he was dominant. Then they trounced Houston last night, 12-4. Will Warren, another strong start. McMahon actually hit a home run that didn't seem like an accident last night.
I thought it was a legitimate shot.
See, Carlos, that's a McMahon sighting. Chisholm
his second home run this past week.
That's his second home run, but the first one was almost an accident. This one actually looked like he meant to hit it. Still misses the most hittable pitches that you've ever seen of any hitter. Swings and misses at hittable pitches. Chisholm waking up. Hit a home run, 2 home runs in the past week. He's definitely looks like he's coming out of his
first home run video, his first by the pesky pole.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah,
it just went inside, just went over. It was like the shortest home run of his career. It was like
it was the shortest home run of his career.
He's still on target for 50-50, like you said.
Yeah, he just has to hit
50 RBIs and 50 walks. Definitely not home runs and steals.
He just has to hit 50 home runs this month. He'll be okay.
Schlittler, as I mentioned, was dominant in his start. The starting pitching has been strong. Fried was fantastic in his start. Heel historically also dominant against Boston. Cole, in the minors, the guys on the men, Cole and Rodon, both with strong rehab starts. For some bad news there, Volpe is nearing his return. Hold on.
Go ahead. I heard did well. What was Cole's stats on his rehab?
Cole was I think he gave up a couple of runs. He was topping out at about 95, but he got up. He was like 4 1/3 innings,
nice,
5 hits, a couple of runs, but he's extending his pitch count. So they're trying to get him up to 80 before they activate him. So they're still looking at probably later this month. I'm sorry, I thought it was May already. A little mid to late May still is the target return for him. And Volpe is nearing his return. It just so happens might be coinciding with a Giancarlo Stanton IL stint because he left last night's game with what was called a strained calf. If anybody's seen the replay, show me where it happened because he actually was standing still in between second and third.
Maybe he was trying to open up a bag of chips.
Yeah,
exactly.
Is that what he was doing, Pete?
He said,
Could
"Doug,
be.
with a bag of chips." He strained his
Could
calf.
be. Because he and then he walks off, as they said, under his own power. When's the last time you saw anybody carried off a field?
You can't carry him. That's why he knows better.
They usually walk off under their own power, but he might be. Who knows? The severity is still unknown.
Is it a coincidence?
What happened?
Is it a coincidence, really?
No,
gets hurt.
It's the Houston Hex, maybe. Who knows? But that's what's going on in Yankee land. And what say you guys? Any comments about what you've seen from the Yankees over the last week? May Carlos start with someone who's actually watched the games.
I have a comment.
Oh, you do, Ray?
Yeah. They're winning.
Yes.
Yeah, and they're beating the teams they're supposed to beat.
They are.
Yes,
and you could say that the Astros are not a good team, and you could say that the Red Sox are not a good team. But you know what? They beat those teams. Another team that I know of doesn't do that.
That's a familiar theme, Ray. That's
yeah. I just thought I'd bring that up again,
Carlos.
Because here's what you guys do at the end of the year. All you do is complain how the Yankees are not doing whatever they're not doing while they're going on to win 100 games. And when it's brought up that they're beating the teams they're supposed to beat, you go, "Oh yeah, wow, anybody could do that." Clearly, not anybody could do that. That's my observation.
Yankees are playing very well.
There you go.
I did not. I mean, I didn't even.
You don't like Pete and I were like, "Why don't you ask us about the Yankees? We're in depression right now. We're in a state of depression. We can't even talk."
But
I'm sorry. I did say Carlos's name. I did say Carlos.
You did say it, but
you said you had a comment.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
I
jumped the gun. I apologize.
It's okay. I'll ask you to say your answer again because that will segue into the notes.
So, how do you really feel about the Yankees winning?
Go ahead, Carlos.
I will tell you this: in spite of the things that we don't like about it, like Grisham and Grichuk and McMahon, all that, it's really strange. It really is they're sort of like on automatic. It almost seems as if it doesn't matter, and they're in the same mode. Like I was watching last year, and I'm watching this, and it's the same thing of like, okay, they're gonna grind this out. They're gonna beat up on these guys.
It's not grinding out, by the way. 17-9, the best record in the American League. Is that grinding out? That's dominating.
I'm sorry, my team grinds out wins against.
No, you don't grind 12-4. Oh, that was a hard-fought game. We winning 7-3 and have to get scores tied. That's grinding it out. Okay?
They don't understand. They can't. They don't understand the feeling of watching last year. This house eerily similar. It is.
This is why Ray calls you guys whiny little bitches. I mean,
it's like
they didn't win it well enough. They didn't win it dominating enough.
They are running more.
Ooh, really?
Like a nice, comfortable shoe or soccer slipper. You're just watching it, and you're like, oh, wow, here we go.
Oh, that's
a lot of fun.
I got a line that'll make Ray P feel they're stealing bases like they're stealing wins.
Oh.
I knew that.
I didn't know the pitching would be as good. It really is dominating. They can't do this all year.
Well,
why not?
And Fried can. Fried has done it.
Why not? Why can't they be? Why can't they be 80% of what they are right now, which is still excellent?
Well, I mean, Warren is the unknown, Carlos. We saw it last year, so we don't know what this could be. What he is. Fried has been dominant before, so to have Fried be dominant, and you're getting Cole and Rodon back, Heel obviously is the outlier because when he's so a lot about him is if he's Girardi was saying this during his the outing against Boston when if his arm slot is off just slightly, that slider just it just sits right there as a T-ball pitch.
By the way, the argument between Senga and Rodon, who's going to have a better year?
Over.
So Rodon has a better year than Senga, and Rodon hasn't even pitched. So
Rodon could retire. And
have a better year than Senga.
If he doesn't
I never even said it. What
fantasy note? If he doesn't have a quality start against the Rockies, I'm cutting him. I'm just cutting him. I'm tired of it. Just cutting him.
So I will say this about, I don't think the Yankees, listen, Fried hasn't gone 2 consecutive years without having an injury in a while. Okay. So you got, whenever he's healthy, so you got to get through that. Heel, whatever, how you pronounce it.
He's on our damn
You're
team.
right.
That's what jinxing him. Jesus Christ.
No, fine. But what's in the Yankees' favor right now is they can be 60% of what they are right now. Someone can get injured, but you're getting Rodon and Cole back, and that's going to get you back up to that 85%. That's the beauty of the whole thing, because they're not good. When you have those two coming back, you can weather a short injury for somebody, or a couple of bad starts and that kind of stuff. They're gonna have a numbers problem when those guys come back the way they're pitching. So,
and one thing, speaking of Weathers, congratulations to Ryan Weathers. Had his first child this past week on paternity leave. So that was a nice little segue with your weathering comment. I thought I'd throw that in. Ray looks absolutely disgusted that I did
any
that.
more good news for the Yankees? They
more good news. Yes.
Prices,
Ray, what did you say about the Yankees again? They're doing what?
What are the Yankees doing?
They're doing what they're supposed to do. They're winning.
And they're
beating the bad teams. That's right.
And that takes us into our Mets news for the past week. Ray,
yes, what Bizarro World is? Bizarro is like a mirror. It's a mirror image. So take that 17-9 record and flip it, and that's the Mets.
Wait, we have 9 wins.
Yes.
Oh,
we have 9 wins. Yeah, we won 9. The 9th game 2 games ago.
Yes.
Right.
And so the Mets for the past week.
That's it. That's it. We're done with the Yankees already.
That's it. What else to say?
Really? It doesn't.
It's boring, right? It's boring.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, I
covered
this. I even got a summary of the notes for the week. I wrote it first off the top of my head, and I had someone summarize the notes. Same thing. Nothing different.
Go back to the Yankees for 1 second.
Yankees
for 1 second. Pitching staff is outstanding. Okay, Aaron Judge having a nice start. Who else?
Not really.
Well, look, 7
Rice,
a power star.
Rice is like becoming a stud.
Okay,
big time. In spite of Boone sitting him down, he's home runs off.
And who made that call on this podcast? But Vincenz, okay. You all mocked with Vincenz. He told you Rice is an outstanding hitter, but you all laughed at him, except me. Then I did not laugh.
I know you did.
I didn't laugh at you.
Yeah, you did.
We had Rice at one point.
Why would I want Vinny to be wrong?
He wants to be.
They're not getting a great year out of third base.
No,
Shortstop. Chisholm wasn't doing.
Caballero's playing. Yeah, Caballero's playing
fine.
Stealing,
nothing special. Getting nothing special.
And honestly, Pete, who's hitting well? Rosario is actually hitting.
Rosario's
not sustainable. I don't think it's sustainable.
No, he's not starting all the time. But
you guys rely on X-Men.
But are there words coming out of my mouth? Can you guys hear me? Hello?
Yeah.
The thing I'm saying is the pitching has been outstanding. Let's put that aside for a minute. 17-9, and other than Rice, people they're doing okay. No career years going on here. There's no Grisham, hitting way above his thing, or Chisholm, fact, down, mediocre.
Way down, actually, Chisholm.
Yeah, average.
Bellinger's been solid. Bellinger's been
steady.
Solid. Nothing special.
Stanton's playing right now.
But and that's the key, Pete. Stanton, when he was hitting like the Stanton of old.
Oh, okay. I did.
Yeah, he really was hitting well.
But you got to feel good when you're getting basically, nothing special, and except for the pitching staff has been. But I'm putting that aside. Nothing special, and you're still 17-9, which means it's only going to get better.
But it's also interesting, Pete, because I think we also said this, and the pitching would be what carried them. It was so deep. We thought it would carry them.
It was going to be this good.
No, nobody could have predicted that. But the guys like the Ryan McMahons, the Austin Wells, they're not, even a good year for Austin Wells is probably hitting 240. It really is at this point. McMahon
to do more than that,
right around the state, but I can't even get him to 200 yet. It used to be the Mendoza line. We're going to start calling it the McMahon line, 180, 175. It's like just get to that. And you're because his defense is fantastic in the Boston series. I don't know if you saw. Pete, I know you were.
I would offer us the Bo Bichette
around the world, but he made 2 fantastic defensive plays it was the game Fried pitched. It was running over the third base line and the diving catch he makes. Where even Fried's face was shocked that he makes the play.
Yeah.
But that's what I put in the chat, that this is his role, late inning defensive replacement, because every spot starter every so often, because an everyday player, he just shows you're not going to get production from him from an offensive standpoint. So bring him in as a defensive replacement.
Clearly, you don't need it. Clearly, you're okay. I mean, it's
So
not
far.
So far.
So far. Yeah, I mean, look, here's the thing. The pitching is probably going to come down a bit, but the hitting is going to get better.
You actually think this team is going to collapse? And you say so far. You think
no. Well,
right. It's not collapsing. You're making the playoffs.
What's the guy's name? Greg Armsinger, the guy who on the he said it was him, Plesac, and Howard Reynolds. They were looking at something. They said it's the Yankees in the American League, and they finished with it's not even close. Like, they can't find a close second to what the Yankees could be before, by the time the year is over. They couldn't find a club that should push them for the American League. I think it's Detroit, because when you have
Detroit, and that's probably true, but I don't see
Seattle.
The Yankees. I don't see the Yankees winning 108 games. I mean, I don't.
No.
Being that, I just think that the disparity, come the closest would be.
I think if they honestly, their over under, I think was 90.5, because of the parity within the American League. Some teams getting better. Before the season, it was weird. It was 92.5, and when they won game 1, it dropped by 2 wins, which I don't know how that works.
You know who had a higher over and under?
Mets. The Mets did.
Yeah,
The Mets did.
Exactly.
And speaking of those Mets,
we have to do this. We can't stay with the Yankees for a little while.
2-4. We did.
I'm noticing this, that the Met fans are talking about.
Every time I go to the Mets, we kind of go back. You guys go back to the Yankees.
So how did Rodon pitch yesterday? And Volpe, he's okay. He's feeling good.
Apparently.
Well, Pete, Pete, why don't you lead off? Pete, why don't you lead off with the Mets? Go ahead.
Look, in all honesty, I only saw so much. I mean, I did. I will tell you that the days I was gone, I don't know what day it is, or what time it is, where I am. So I wake up in the middle of the night and I'd be like, or whatever, I don't know. And I'm like, oh wait, there's a ball game on. So I have to, So I didn't, and I listened more than I watched. I can't really say much except utter disgust. This is the Ray and I sat there opening day and said, and looked at the things, and we said, this is what they built. This is what they did. I mean, it was a number by Polanco that, moved the guy. We're like, they made contact, they keep the line. When this isn't going to be a team that, that's going to do. And it went to hell so fast.
You forget the exchange we had that day. Remember the exchange we had that day?
No.
There's no way. We both agreed this is such a balanced team. It would take an entire team for all of them to collapse, for them to have a losing season.
Well, now we know why it happened.
You could talk about it. Doesn't mean it has to happen. But good.
I will say this though. I hate to Monday morning quarterback, right? I understood why they got rid of Alonso. I understood why they got rid of McNeil. I understood why they got rid of Nimmo. I just didn't like what they got back, and it wasn't a knock on Simeon per se, but it was a lot of money to take back for a guy, blah, blah, blah. But I understood that. And then when you go ahead and you sign Bichette to play third, I'm like, okay, fine. And then you go ahead and you sign Polanco to play first, and you're like, I don't get it. And then I'm watching some of the things I'm watching at first base, and if I could have typed his name, I don't think I typed it. I couldn't spell his name. I was like, what they really should have done was sign like a Doug Mankiewicz, right? To sign in the chat, sign somebody who can hit 230 but could play, outstanding defense. Because I'm watching, Lindor can't throw the ball straight, it's bounced. And what's his name? Vientos actually was playing pretty decent. He's making some nice scoops. making some nice plays, which I was surprised about. But he's not afraid. I mean, I'm watching the other day when I came home. There was I don't know if it was a bunt or a ground ball to him, and he's throwing it to third base. The guy was safe. Was still in the bases. I swear to God, I thought I was watching somebody do this underwater in slow motion. It's like, you know, he has an arrogance about him that really I'm sort of done with the Vientos.
Like running through the stop sign.
Running through the stop sign. I trust my instincts over everything. Yeah, and everything you hear about Vientos is he's confident. He's very confident. Look, good for him. But I think when your teammates say how confident you are, what they're really saying is you're arrogant. You know what I mean? And when you know, he challenges pitches that, you know, are like the whole ball is in the strike zone, dude. It's like, you know, and you lost. 2 times I saw him do it. 2 times it wasn't even close. I'm like, please just stop challenging. You know what I mean? So, but whatever. He's playing fine. You know.
Yet Mendoza puts him in the lineup the next day.
Well, look. The thing is,
Ray, I want you to go in. It sounds like you want to go in on Mendy, so we'll let you do that.
No, there's a lot of people that go in on. I'm just saying they don't worry. Go ahead, Pete.
Look, all I have to say is, you know, I going into the season, you know, I was okay. You know, this whole defense thing. I'm really more and more like, I don't know what they were thinking with Polanco. And then I was reading some article that Polanco hasn't another guy hasn't got 2 consecutive years without having an injury. And the headline of this article was now New York knows how Seattle felt, because I guess Polanco plays again and then he goes out for some mysterious leg injury or some shit like that. And then Bichette, you know, looks like he's coming around. I don't have much of a problem with him, and I guess we'll find out if Mauricio's for real. But that bullpen, I mean, do you guys know what happened, by the way, in the game against the Twins that they went? You know that idiot walked onto the field when he shouldn't have. Yeah. It's like,
what happened? What happened?
It was Brazobat. He did because he doesn't know once you step over the white line that you're considered in the game,
and you have to pitch to one batter.
You have to pitch to one batter.
And I guess if all the lights were off,
and
the thing was going. Okay, it didn't occur to him that maybe that's when the closer was coming in, because when I didn't see that part. So when I turned it on and I saw them taking Brazoban out of the game with 1 out, nobody on. I was like, oh, that's
and
weird.
who on the coaching staff should have told him not to go out?
Well, look, you know,
he owned it.
It's never happened. It's never happened before.
I've never seen.
I mean, Dan, when you're going bad. I mean, when you're going bad, Jesus Christ.
Well, he did own it. He said that it was a he was so in his head from the inning before that he didn't. He just went. He said he was an autopilot, and he just went out to the mound. He didn't.
I'm sure other pitchers in history have been that way. It still hasn't happened.
Yeah, well,
where's the coach? Where's the coach that season getting out of the dugout and says, "Get back in"? Where's that coach?
You seem to have issues with the manager and the coaches. I'm getting that vibe.
Well, I want to get your guys.
No, let Pete finish. Let Pete finish.
Watching Devin Williams come in that game, I would have rather Brazoban just stay. I texted you guys. I turned it off. I'm like, I'm not doing this.
And why not? You know what, Pete? That's an excellent point. Why not let him stay in?
At that point, I thought that he was
right.
Take his burn at this point.
Yeah, just let him stay. He got the first out. Let him get the next one.
I think that was loss 11 when we were chatting. Pete,
Ray, you bring up a great point.
I'm sorry, Carlos. No, I'm sorry.
Ray brings up a great point because the day when after Williams blew the game, where he gets the vote of confidence that he's still the closer, the next night Weaver is left in the game to close that game out, where he could easily went to Williams. But he didn't. And that's very similar to what Yankee fans saw last year, because that's exactly what happened. Williams was shaky, got the vote of confidence. Little by little, he was eased out of the role, given a shot again, blew it again. And that was kind of how his year went.
Stern said he sees no similarity.
Yeah, I know.
Carlos was saying something.
Carlos.
Yeah, Carlos.
Oh, no, I mean, not that much. Other than, I think it was on the 11th loss, Pete, when you say, like, I can't watch this anymore. And I said, I just watch now to see if this is ever going to end. I think that was
no. That was the loss. When I typed was the other night when they actually won.
They actually won the game.
And I'm watching Williams come in with 1 out. He strikes out, I think, the first, then a base hit. And then another, and now Buxton is coming up as the tying run. I said, and that's why I typed to you guys, I'm done. And that's what I used to do last year with Diaz sometimes. I turned it off, and I'm saying I'm either going to see 10-8 F or 10-10, 10 Diddy, and I'm not going to do it. And so then I go, but you do this in your phone. I'm like, why don't I feel the vibration that it's over or that they scored or something? I finally look and it goes Buxton double, and I'm like, I just whatever.
What was that Weaver that he got bases loaded, no outs, and he got out of it? Was that
Warren?
No, that was Warren got out of it.
Yeah, in fact, you
that was cool that he got.
Yeah.
I mean, they lost that game anyway, but that was a gut check, man.
It was awesome to watch Brazoban give up the grand slam to tie the game for the first pitch. And I said, I knew that pitch. I knew there was a grand slam coming. I swear I knew it was grand. I didn't know it was the first pitch. I turned to PJ and I say, because we're watching, was it draft on? The NFL draft, right?
Yeah, Thursday night.
I was downstairs watching the NFL draft, and I was on my iPad. I'm playing the game, and I'm like, I turned to and I forgot something just happened, and I'm like, the Knicks had just lost or whatever the case or some shit like that. I'm like, well, this is going to be a great thing because it's going to be a grand slam right now. I was half kid. I didn't, it's like and then first pitch, I'm like, you son. Anyway, I'm done. You, Ray, will have a much better perspective.
No, you won't be done. You're going to add to this. Trust me. So,
there you go. Go ahead, Ray.
So I'm going to do. I did my little rant part A. I'm not going to do a rant part B, but I am going to come up with a follow up. So first of all, last week I didn't mock. I was very serious about comparing Midwestern cities. I love Midwestern cities. The fans there, they love the game, I'm sure, but I'm still convinced that New York baseball fans are just more widespread, more knowledgeable about the game. So I wore my Pittsburgh Pirates hat, my Clemente Pittsburgh Pirates hat, because I was concerned maybe I would get threats from the people in the Midwest. And then I remembered it's the people from the Midwest. They're polite. They won't do that. Only we do that. So I will say that I thought about this during the week. So Pedro Martinez last week came on the air and was talking about the Mets and made a very astute observation that there's a lot of new people on the Mets. You had new players traded to the Mets, new players coming up, new coaches, an entire new coaching staff except the manager. Right. And why that happened, I don't know. If you can get rid of all the coaches, why not get rid of the managers since he had input in the coaches in the first place? And with all the new stuff that was brought to the table, it was hard to congeal. Is congeal the word? I don't know. But to gel together and have some sort of, unified sense of team, right? With the big letter T. So I said, that's not, look, guy played, he should know. I thought that was a very good point. But then I dug deeper, and when I saw the Mets loss, I said, what is it about this team? What I can't put my finger on it. My wife said, what is wrong with this team? And I couldn't answer. But yet it's one of those things, and I told Vinny this, you have a gut feeling you know why, but you can't really verbalize why. And then it hit me, why? And when I looked up the stats, I saw why. So this is like, huh?
Pedro Martinez isn't playing for the team. That's why.
yeah, exactly. No, I just went a little deeper for that. So, we have Stern saying that, he thinks that he's very happy with the defense. He's very happy with Mendoza, insane stuff that's coming out of his mouth. Yeah, yesterday, yesterday, he says that he doesn't see any similarity between Devin Williams now and the Yankees last year. I mean, it's just, he's either talking caca, expecting New York fans to believe it, which we don't, or he's delusional. I went and looked up the coaching staff. And we have Kai Correa is the bench coach. Jeff Albert is the pitching coach and also Jeff Albert's the director of Major League Hitting. Troy Snickers, the hitting coach. Tim Leipers, the third base infield coach. We have Justin Willard, who's the pitching coach. Dan McKinney, who's the assistant pitching coach. Gilbert Gomez, who is the first base outfield coach. And JP Arancibia, who's the catcher coach that sits out in the bullpen. How many of those guys have major league experience?
No,
one.
Any of them? Is it Arancibia?
One.
And I thought Leaper.
No.
It's Arancibia, right?
Arancibia.
Yeah.
Okay, he played. Leaper played 12 minor league seasons, no major league game.
Oh, I thought
So you have now a staff that's not only you, but there's no Major League Baseball experience. And you can say, well, come on, you don't need Major League Baseball experience. Well, maybe you do. Maybe this is evidence that you do, because when you're losing, you like to be able to have some credibility and say, hey, I've been there. I know, or you as a manager, I know how to deal with it, because the manager doesn't have Major League Baseball experience either. I know how to deal with the media, the pressure of the media on a Major League level. There's a lot of things on the Major League level. We can't, like, in one sense, say major, to hit the major leagues is a big deal, and there's a lot of pressure, and there's a lot of additional things, added dimensions to your life as a ball player when you hit the major leagues as compared to minor leagues, and then all of a sudden back off that when you have a coaching staff that has no major league experience and saying, "Oh, it's no big deal." It is a big deal.
I think I said something like this in the chat. I agree with you 100%. And I meant when I made the comment about having a first baseman that can actually play the position. That was the other thing I was thinking.
Thank you very much, Pete.
That was
the other thing is moving players around, right? Moving players around to play. So you have all this combination of all this newness, right? It's not. Let's not criticize it.
See, I wasn't angry, and now you're
no. Well, I said you. I told you.
That is a fantastic observation.
And it's newness. It's the newness. We're not even going to criticize it for what it's resulted in. It's like a newness. If you manage a company, Pete, you manage a company. I manage the company. When you bring new people in, it takes time to get to whatever point where they're all going to gel together.
That's
no. I'm just saying as a premise, as an initial premise.
That's fine. That's
right.
fine.
The Mets also had the most players in the WBC. So there was that.
Right, and then you had the WBC, right?
That's fine as well. But to Ray's point, I'll tell you this, and I think I made some comment in our chat about this. This is where. I'm trying really hard to give Stearns the benefit of the doubt in a lot of things.
I can get you angry if you let me talk. No, go ahead.
What was that?
I was going to get you angrier as I continue talking about.
Well, I can't wait. But anyway, the thing is that what is the? It's almost like he's. I'm starting to feel like he's what they used to criticize Bobby Valentine. Always has to be the smartest guy in the room. It's like, what is the benefit? You could have hired Snicker. You could have hired Correa, whatever. But why not give the guy a bench coach that has major league experience, a major league man, somebody to right? It's not even so much the thing, but when forget about the media. But when somebody goes over, when Chavez was able to go over and talk to somebody and say, "Listen, I remember I was in a 3-game series against and I was hitting like this, and this is what happened, and I was
exactly.
I go hopping on my left foot and eating popcorn." And spinning around, and whatever the case may be, and this where you have some, and I'm not knocking these guys. I'm not knocking them, but I'm sorry if you're Simeon or Lindor or the incredibly arrogant, clearly Vientos, you know what I mean, and someone's gonna comes over you. I mean, you're really being respectful, almost out of politeness, as opposed to like, as opposed to I've done it before, dude. It's like. It's they always say that the ones who look again.
This is to your point though about Stearns. That Stearns thinks he's smarter than everybody else.
Yeah.
Look, I don't know. I'm going to say this is what it appears. Right? Yeah. And if you're listening, David Stearns, no offense, but this is what you come across. You come across as arrogant, that you know more than everybody else. Okay. I'm not saying that you're purposely acting that way, but this is how your actions show that. You have a pitching coach that pitched for Concord University. I never heard of the university. Okay. He pitched for, he didn't even pitch in the minors.
But you know what this is?
He didn't even pitch in the minors.
But you know what this is?
And he's go ahead.
It's like having a starting 9 of rookies. It's like having a starting 9 of all rookies. It's okay that you have a pitching coach like this that maybe has a track record that you believe in, or a Snicker who have a track. It's okay, but does everybody have to be?
Right, exactly. Does everybody, especially in a season we've just spent a ton of money, and the expectation for the owners, you're going to make the playoffs.
I didn't want to sound like I was taking a dig, but when you got the second highest payroll,
and this is the time you want to do this. This is when, right? When the owner has, right, you spend a lot of money, you have to make the playoffs. This is the time you come up with the genius idea. Hey, let's get a bunch of new guys in that are sabermetricians in uniforms that have no experience. Now I go to my next section. People just get angry.
By the way, that was a really good. But Ray, that was a really great. Before you say it, that's a really great observation. That was,
you just got to look shit up. Yeah, sorry, you got to look poop up.
We almost did it again.
Sorry. All right, so now let's go. So I said to myself, gee, let's see. Did Stearns do this in Milwaukee? Let's see. So you go to Milwaukee, and in Milwaukee, there's not a single Milwaukee team. He was the general manager for, where he did this. Every single Milwaukee team that he had a blend of veterans that played the game with guys that were quasi-sabermetricians, but guys that played in the minor leagues, and then he sprinkled in a couple of guys that were in the sabermetrician front, okay? That's what he did every year in Milwaukee. So now he's coming across as a hypocrite. So now he's doing this now for the first time ever. This is the year he chooses to do it. But because I don't want to go through all the entire coaching staff of the Milwaukee teams every year, but and by the way, and I'm not knocking. Just let me finish this one last point, Pete. I'm not knocking the fact that there's a manager with no major league experience. There's been plenty of managers with no major league experience that have taken their teams to the playoffs. It's the broad range of coaches, the entire aspect of where the whole coaching staff has no major league experience. And then I looked that up. How many teams that have had coaching staffs? It's almost like the higher the percentage of coaches on a team that have less major league experience, what are the odds of them making the playoffs? And it was directly proportional. So the more inexperienced coaches you have on a team, and I did this over the past 5 years for all the playoff teams, all the teams that made the playoffs for the past 5 years. First of all, how many of them had an entire coaching staff and a manager with no major league experience?
How many?
Zero. Right. Well, it could have been, but we don't know. So, but zero. And then in terms of like how many of them had major league experience, the more major league experienced coaches you had, the more the higher percentage of the playoff teams that you had making teams making the playoffs. I'm not doing a good job explaining, but I think you know what I mean, right?
What's
so, Pete, great.
What's the Yankee coaching staff? I forget who's the.
It's Boone and his bench coach is Brad Ausmus.
Yeah.
So you're talking not only a major league player, but he was a former manager.
That's you don't have to be the manager experience, but we have MLB experience.
Yeah,
that's the thing. But that's the thing. And to Pete's point, the bench coach of all the coaches,
right?
Could you at least have given the bench coach as the guy with the Major League Baseball, the guy that has managed for several years, something like that? Not even that. In fact, it goes the complete opposite.
It's like you invested in the best engineers, the best analysts, and then you got a bunch of college grads to oversee and run that group.
Greg Counsell, the manager the whole time. Stearns was the GM.
Yes. Maybe not early. Not early on, but he was for most of it.
Most of it.
And Counsell had tremendous respect.
And had Craig Counsell managed before he managed in Milwaukee? That was his first job, right?
I don't think so. I think that was his first job.
I think it was his first job. Yeah.
Okay. So,
which I think then was surprising that he had no managerial experience and they put him in as the manager.
Well, there could have been other managers.
That's fine. Yeah, that's fine. Again, yeah, right.
Okay. So, well, I mean, look, I think that's look, to make the comparison to Milwaukee, I don't know. I mean, it's like I get where you're going. I'm depressed by the stats you gave about how many teams go to the playoffs with this guy. But I don't know if there's a call. Like, I don't know why he would choose to do it. It's like you wouldn't. We've talked about this for 2 years. The thing about the Mets, they've got this veteran group and they've got these kids. And at some point, like the Dodgers, you got to start infusing the kids with the veterans so that you then start that cycle. Right. So you make get rid of Nimmo so you can play bench. And if you're sticking with him longer than maybe you should, so be it. Right. And you do this and you and all. I get, why would it be any different from a coaching staff? Why? If you think Snicker is a boy genius and as the assistant hitting coach, no problem. I'll even go ahead. Look, we took Jeremy Hefner, who's was not had major league experience, granted, but he had no coaching experience at that point. We made him the guy. Got it? Okay, no problem. But really, I mean, everybody, the assistant guy, the assistant, the third assistant to the second assistant, to the bench coach, to every single person on that team has neither major league experience, some of them not even having bordering coaching experience. And you think this, it was a good strategy.
So I have some answers.
In his money.
I have some answers for you on this. By the way, and I'll also make this is more of a joke, but the one guy that does have Major League Baseball experience, JP Arencibia, he's out in the bullpen. But okay, so Craig Counsell was named manager in September 2015. Stearns took over the team in September 2015.
He took over mid-season for that team.
Yeah, and then he named Craig Counsell that winter as the manager. Okay, on that staff he had Darnell Coles, Jason Lane, Lee Tunnell, all former major league players.
Yes.
And they had key positions. One was the hitting coach, one was the assistant hitting coach, and then was a bullpen coach. Okay, well, it's questionable. And on the staff that he also had some other guys, one of them being Pat Murphy, who's now the manager, right? Then from 2019 to 2021, he got more player development guys. So he infused more of like the guys that the Mets have now. But he also added Steve Carsey to the team. He kept Jason Lane, and he added a guy named Andy Haynes as a hitting coach who also had Major League Baseball experience. Then 2021 into 2022, he actually added more former players to the team. He mixed in Ozzie Timmons, Quentin Berry, Jim Anderson. Now, I don't know these guys that well, but they had Major League Baseball experience, okay? And again, to the point where they can go to a young player, said, I've been there before. He recognized that. Somebody recognized that in Milwaukee. So let me just make this last point. And the last point is because, David Stearns might be watching this and saying, what the hell do you guys know? Okay. This is all about numbers because my owner is all about numbers and I'm all about numbers. Okay. Well, then let's take the numbers and stick that up your patootie. Okay. The Mets are right now 9.
Just in case David Stearns is watching, I want to be respectful.
Yeah, exactly. The Mets are 9-17. That means they played 26 games. Do simple math, 136 games left. To finish with 90 wins, which most people believe is what you need to get into the playoffs, 90 wins. And even then, it's questionable. They would have to go, and I went over this last week, and remember, the winning percentage they had to come up with is .585. Well, now it's .596. So they have to go 81, and 55 the rest of the way. Okay. And one of the things that ChatGPT is very good at is mathematical calculations, predictions, forecasting. So I asked it to do a calculation, a forecast of their chances at getting 90 wins. And it came up with the answer, 3 to 5%. So let's be realistic, everybody. We're watching a team right now on the field that has a 3 to 5% chance of getting 90 wins, which means a 3 to 5% chance of making the playoffs.
So here's my
question.
So
this idea,
stop.
Stop. I'm still talking, but go ahead.
Stop. Just please stop. So here's my question. He's
getting disgusted.
I'm so crying.
Cut off this podcast and go back to Japan. Okay.
Oh, by the way, let me just say the reason it's 3 to 5%, Pete, is because I also asked it to take into account they have no major league experience on the staff. But go ahead.
Oh, okay. Well, maybe you take that out and could be up to 7%. Listen. So here's my question. It's not unrealistic. It's not impossible that the Mets can go 81 or whatever, right? So here's my question to you. What has to happen? What in the world has to happen right now? Okay, starting today. What other than raining out every game? What has to happen for them to even go on a streak that gets you even thinking about playing September baseball?
Well, Pete, first of all, right now they're in a series, the second of 3 series in a row where they're playing against bad teams, right?
No,
And so far,
the team has to change. I think we have to.
no, you can't. Yeah, there's no way. It's impossible to change the team at this point to expect that you're going to make the playoffs. That's my opinion. There's nothing. Even if you fired everybody,
no trade that we can make.
No.
There's nothing we could do.
no, I don't know.
Here's the problem as I see it.
I don't think so.
Okay.
I think the hitting will not. It's not going to be this bad. The problem, as I'm seeing it, and it was part of my notes as we went against our usual format, where I recapped the news for the week for the Mets. But Ray jumped into a different format this week, but that's okay.
Oh, sorry.
The Mets were 2-4 for the week. Swept by the Cubs. Took 2-3 versus Minnesota. But the key, it's your pitching staff. You got McLean, Peralta, who has been on it serviceable at this point, but not. I don't think he's been
mediocre.
He's been, and Holmes, has been good.
Very good.
Peterson, he's been good out of the bullpen, but horrendous as a starter. Senga has just, after that first start, completely fallen off the mat. Christian Scott, who got the call the other day, walked the ballpark. So do you trade? It's got to be I don't think there's because I think you need two arms. And one of them has to be a high-end arm. I'm not saying they both have to be, which means you have to give up assets. So do you, as Met fans, knowing Stearns, my answer, I'll say right up before I ask the question, I don't see him doing this. Trading top assets to try to pull. The starters yet haven't presented themselves because the teams are so. Other than some of them are just horrible. I mean, a handful are just bad right now. And look, right now the Mets are in that record-wise are in that group. But some of the other teams where you thought, maybe a pitcher might be available. The Marlins playing pretty well. Pittsburgh playing pretty well. So where's that? Is Detroit not going to pay Skubal long term and make him available? Who knows? I see it, and the bullpen. I think you guys have bullpen help in the minors. That I know they called up Carl Edwards. That I don't think is the answer to your bullpen woes, and also ran. I think there's some arms in the minors that can help the bullpen. I just don't know if there's enough there to right that pitching staff, because I think the hitting will right itself. Some of these guys.
Well, remember, the pitching staff pitched very well before the losing streak happened. So you couldn't expect this pitching staff to pitch that well for a period of time. So it's like typical. You see this all. You see this with the Yankees. You see this with every team. The hitting hits. Yeah, but wait, you've seen
11 games.
You've seen this with the hitting hits. But the pitcher's not.
Oh yeah, that happens.
And then it flips. And then they get into a little bit of a losing streak, but then they balance themselves out. That's all I'm saying.
But
that's all I'm trying to say.
What I would say is, as a fan looking on the outside in.
Let me address
Holmes really quick. Holmes last year, you guys would admit, he ran out of gas a little bit as the season wore on. It was his first year as a starter. Now this is his second year, so you're hoping that doesn't happen. McLean is I personally, he's been everything I think we thought he was going to be, and I think he'll get better. Because I think he's probably putting a lot on himself to be perfect, especially with what they're going through. And Peralta will be better. Peralta's he's not. I can't see him just being a pitch into a 4+ ERA. I don't see that happening. It's who are the other two? Is Senga going to right the ship? Is Peterson going to right the ship? If the answer to the question is no on both, that means you have to replace 40% of your rotation. And where is that? How are you doing that?
But what are you getting at? So let's say they traded for Skubal tomorrow. They're not going to go 81 and 55.
The hitting is strong enough that it will be better, much better than you're seeing. That if you get better and I said bullpen too. I didn't just say starters. I said bullpen. If you right the pitching, the hitting is good enough. That hitting, there's no way Bichette is not going to be as bad as his numbers are. Lindor's same. I mean, Lindor's hurt right now. But the hitting is better than unless guys, Simeon's fall off that started last year is continuing. That he fell off and it's going to continue to fall the other direction. If you think that is going to happen and that's happening, then then you're. I mean, then you're the Jets. You're the Jets looking at 2027 while you're still in 2026.
Look, Pete, let me just make this one point, and then I'll let. I think I talked to you, Pete, about this when you got back from Japan. Facts are facts, and the fact of the matter is that the Mets have as much of a chance to make the playoffs based on history, as if we got together and put a bunch of guys together and put a team in baseball to make the playoffs. Evan Roberts from WFAN made an excellent point, and the point that he made was that it's not so much what the Mets record is and whether or not they'll make the playoffs, because the playoffs, more teams make the playoffs.
Correct.
Right? Okay. It's more like, of all the teams that have had the record that they had, that have lost 9 games, I think at that point it was 8 or 9 games in a row. Maybe it was 10 games in a row. I can't remember. There were what, Pete? 138 teams in the history of baseball that lost that many games in a row?
138.
138.
Yeah, none have made the playoffs.
Of the 138, how many finished above 500 by the end of the year?
We had this discussion. I know the answer.
4.
It's 4.
4 teams.
And
nobody, barely over 500. So
nobody ever came back being down 3 games to none in a playoff thing, and
it's happened.
Oh, come on!
Listen,
come on!
Let me talk.
Yeah, all right, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Here's the thing. To your pitching point, Vinny. Okay, when you have to go out there and pitch, knowing that you're only going to get the 1 run or maybe 2 runs, it's a different mentality than to go out and pitch when you have a 4-run lead or 5-run lead. So some of these pitchers, guys remember Jack Morris?
Mm-hmm.
The guy won 200 and something games. He had a 4-something ERA because he would pitch to the score. If he had to win the game 1-0, he pitched to a 1-0. If he had the game it's 6-0, he didn't care if he let up 4 runs. He wasn't going to let up 6. And it's a different mentality. So I think Peralta will be better when they start hitting. Peterson might be a little bit. Now, that being said, I don't think the Mets are going to make any significant trade for a starter unless they're getting a starter that's under contract already. So no, they're not going to give up the world to get Scooble unless they somehow are. It's the trading deadline and they just won 72 games in a row, and they think they need Scooble. That's not going to happen, right? So no, they're not going to do it. I think what they need to do is, you got Peralta, you got McClain, and you got Holmes, and then you have to make a decision on Senga, Peterson, Scott, and Minaya. Make a decision. Put your big boy panties on. Okay, make that the rotation. Okay, cut the other guys, put them in the bullpen, do whatever you're going to do with them. Stick one of them if you need a 6th starter every once in a while, and just say, I'm going to run through the rotation 2 or 3 times with this group. And then make the bullpen sucks. Okay. Devin Williams was an outstanding signing if Diaz was the closer. If there was a closer and he was going to be the 8th inning guy, which is what we all thought when he got signed, I would have been fine with that. Okay. I was nervous as hell about him but I gave him the benefit of the doubt because he chose to come back to New York. Right. And he might get better, whatever. Okay. But it's not. It doesn't make the team isn't better because Williams is the closer, okay, and Weaver is he's had more good games than bad, but still, so they definitely need bullpen help, and I don't know if it's sitting in the minor leagues, okay. But the other thing is, we're now going to find out about Ronnie Mauricio, okay. So Ronnie Mauricio is either going to be what he's going to be, and we're going to get some nice payback on a trade because he's not staying, okay? Or he's a bust, and we now got nothing. We should have traded him before we had to expose him, okay? I think Bichette will get better. Benj is whatever, you know what I mean? Soto is back. Roberts, is being Roberts. I swear to God, though, if I see Alvarez not catch a ball that hits his glove one more time, I'm going to break his kneecaps. I've never seen in my entire life a catcher who the ball hits the glove and then squirts out and goes somewhere else. Okay? Now, I don't think there's anything else to do, and it's going to be what it's going to be. I mean, I think you might as well.
Yeah, I think
Right now-
I think we just need to disabuse everybody of the notion that the Mets are making the playoffs. They're not. They're not making the playoffs. So,
fun. I want it to be fun.
Right. So how do you make it fun, Pete? A fun way to do it is
Keep getting rainouts.
Is to concede messed up. We're going to bring up, trade away some of the stars, get some prospects, bring up your prospects, and have the Met fans watch. You could trade. You have to eat some money, but you could trade. You have Bichette on a 1-year contract, essentially. You could trade him. I'm just saying you could take the approach of just conceding defeat. And Stearns will not do it, because if he does it, my thought is he's got to tell his owner, and his owner's going to say, "That's BS. You're fired."
No,
that's what I think.
Ray Bichette, that's not a 1-year contract, because if he struggles, he's not opting out of that contract.
He's in year 3 of a 5-year contract. They're
going to be. It's. I'm just saying. Technically, it's a 1-year contract. That's what I'm saying. Bichette.
No,
Bichette.
he can.
His option.
He's getting paid for the 1 year. That's what I'm saying. If he gets traded,
it's his option.
But I understand. But if he gets traded. If he gets traded to the Pirates, he doesn't want to be in the Pirates. No offense to the Pirates, but he won't opt.
I can't see him opting. If he has a bad year, he's not going to opt out of $40 million.
Well, we don't know he's going to have a bad year. I'm just saying, technically, I'm not. All right.
Personally,
I'm just saying it's a 1-year contract with an option. It's a 1-year contract. They're probably going to go on strike next year, whatever. All my point is that you could trade guys, and if you eat some money, you could trade some of these guys. They're not going to do. I'm just saying they're not going to do it, because then Stearns is conceding that he was wrong. He has too much of an ego to do that, and I think Pete may disagree. If he does that, he's telling his owner, I effed up 2 years in a row now. And I don't know if Stearns. I don't know if Cohen will put up with that. That's.
I think Cohen. Cohen will. I think he'll go 1 more year. He's a 5-year contract. He's not going to eat $20 million on the rest of the contract. Not because he's broke, but I'm saying he's then what Cohen is basically saying. I chased after this guy for 3 years rather to get him. I got him. I signed him. I gave him 3 years. He's now pissed me off, and I'm going to eat 20. I can't see it. I can see it like he's not getting an extension. He'll have next year. You know what I mean? And then fire him midstream or whatever the case may be. But at that point, then, Cohen should start thinking about selling the team.
Do you guys think Mendoza's the first axe? He's going to be the first one to get axed?
I think.
If what?
If basically over the next 2 weeks, they're still muttering around 10 games under 500.
They're so bad, and to Ray's point, the chance of making the playoffs at this point, you might as well let him finish out the season.
Here's the thing. He looked and I talked about this with Ray, Pete, and I don't know if you know that this happened. It was the last game against the Cubs where Pete Crow Armstrong's on third base with 1 out and Horner's up. So the question to him was, Horner, who's hitting 360 with men in scoring position, why didn't you just walk him and face Michael Busch, who's hitting 145? And his answer was, we didn't even think of that, because we would have walked him. He would have just stole second, not realizing that run doesn't matter. The Pete Crow Armstrong, it was bottom of the 10th, 1-1 in Chicago.
Well, I thought there was first and third, and then if they walked Horner, that would have loaded the bases.
No.
There was no room for error.
No.
No, it was 1 out, man on third.
No, the answer was a stupid answer. To say, well, if we walk him, he'll steal second. Who cares? He's not the winning run. The winning run's on third base.
The winning run was on third. And what happens on the next pitch? Sacrifice fly. They lose 2-1. So it's that when you see, and then you see the managerial moves. Benj in the leadoff spot.
3 games in a row. Not one, not 2. 3 games in a row.
I don't criticize that though, man. Dude, he's trying to do. It's like when Billy.
But you don't try it with a guy that has the lowest OPS in the league.
Yeah, but he was. He started.
I'm going to propose this. I'm going to propose this to you guys, because here's the thing. I think if we talk about when you show someone something, you can't unsee it. I cannot unsee this staff, managerial staff, coaching staff without this experience. You put together a bunch of guys playing out of position, all these new guys, and you have an inexperienced coaching staff. There's no one to guide them. This is never going to end. This ends if Mendoza gets fired, because I'm telling you right now, he might be doing the lineup, but he might be told whom to play. So and he has no say in that. So Farmer Mendoza is not the issue. Who they're going to replace him with? They're going to replace him with a yes man, because the only way this gets different is if you get a real manager, quote unquote, with experience, who knows what he's doing, and that real manager is going to want to name his own bench coach, his own pitching coach, or batting coach, however it's going to be. No,
that
wait,
won't happen to the offseason.
That doesn't happen anymore.
It's not going to happen, because any manager who wants to take over, who's going to make a difference, will want that. It's not. You're not going to want this staff, but it's not happening.
It doesn't happen with Buck Showalter. It doesn't happen with any manager anymore.
You can get one.
They might let you have one. They might let you have a bench coach with one or two coaches, and
but this guy's not going to get anything. And I'm saying this is going to doom them. You're gonna just replace it with a yes man, and this goes beyond the guys on the field, man. This really does. You really need this guy. You can't have this fancy car and just let the valet drive where the hell he wants.
I have less of an issue with trying to shake up the lineup and try this and try that, whether it's not I don't really putting now Alvarez batting third and
no, I'm saying there's no one to guide them.
Well, no, I mean, but when you're going as badly as the Mets were going, scoring an average of 1.6 runs a game, you're trying something. Like I said, Billy Martin would put the names in a hat and pull them out just to shake it up. I mean, he's trying to get
for a game, Pete, not 3 games in a row.
No, but
I'm sorry, that was stupid.
Don't forget that's how Lindor wound up being the leadoff guy after he was batting second and third for months, and they couldn't get anything going and whatever. Look, all I'm saying is that when it should, that to me is not the issue. It's those.
You're being run. I'm proposing.
It's not an issue. It's just a part of a bigger problem.
It's the coaching, or the systemic issue.
Yes.
Not
if only someone like Buck Showalter were available.
He won't take the job.
You know what? You have to move on.
That was a joke because he had a chance to keep Showalter.
You know what? But you have to move on from Buck. Look, Buck Showalter.
Why? He didn't even talk to the guy. Buck Showalter could have said, "Hey, I get it."
3 years and nobody's wanted Buck Showalter. So it's time.
So what?
But you know what? Because the truth is, Buck Showalter gave us 101 wins, and Buck Showalter gave us 78 wins. I mean, the truth is that time.
Girardi's out there. Girardi's out there. He's won a World Series.
What?
Right? Girardi's out there. He's won a World Series.
Girardi or whatever, but
he hasn't been interviewed either. So I mean, just because a guy's not been interviewed doesn't mean that they can't do it.
Again, at some point you got to move past the 73-year-old guys, and whatever. And I'm fine.
Girardi's not 73, but okay.
What?
Girardi's not 73 years
old.
No,
I'm talking about Showalter. I'm just saying.
Okay.
I'm just saying is that I don't have a problem with moving past these guys any more than I have a problem if they hired him. I do have a problem with an entire staff, including the that has no thing like this. And I think that these whatever that decision making process, and I'm more than happy to concede that Stearns has access to a lot more information than we do.
Sure.
And I'm sure is a smart guy. We just might draw different conclusions to things, but the thing is that I don't understand what the logic is. I don't understand what his thinking was. Some of those things you don't give 5-year contracts to pitchers. I get it, okay, but Polanco to play first base.
I was just going to ask you that. Preaching defensive, increasing your, defensive metrics, and then you sign a first baseman who's never played the position. You sign a third baseman who's never played the position.
Right.
You have a coaching staff, as Ray pointed out.
Yeah.
Very astutely.
Who's coaching these guys who are playing new positions?
Who's never played. Well, the one guy who's major league experience.
Got a center fielder who could go catch, but it seems like he can't.
Here's the other thing. Someone like Benj, at this point, why not just send him down? What is the reason to?
Right.
There has to be somebody in a minor league.
He's just not ready. Just send him down. That's all.
I don't get Pete. It's look at the game. I'm not that Carlson didn't agree with, but Dominguez was raking in spring training, and he has been hitting well since they sent him down. There's currently nowhere for him to play at this point. But if he was doing what Benj is doing, they for sure would have sent him down and just maybe sign a Grichuk or someone like that that can give you maybe some production. I'll
say this.
No production out of this.
Look, I'll say this. Okay. Aside from he's been a very good defensive outfielder, I think when Soto is ready to play the outfield, then you might see Bench go down and you'll see a Tommy Pham and MJ Melendez, whatever his name is, platoon. They all, so here's the question, Vinny. I'm not against setting it down, by the way, right? And there's nobody that you're not going to bring up another rookie necessarily, right? It's the same pain, right? So here's the thing, and this goes: if there is a part of their lizard brain that knows they're not going to make the playoffs, okay, then the question is, we cleared out the space. We do this. Do we? As long as you don't feel that Bench's psyche is being harmed, do you let him play through the pain and go through it? You're not going to make the playoffs anyway. Or is Tommy Pham and Melendez, who was cut by the Royals? Okay, I like the way you guys are playing for us, and he's still young, but it's not like he's a stud that we all of a sudden got. That's your alternative. It's like.
But there's a difference between letting him. Now, does he look overmatched? I don't watch every Met game. Ray, I know you and Pete, you guys watch more, like Carlos and I watch more, of course, more the Yankee games. Does he flat out just look overmatched?
Oh, until the past few games, yes, absolutely.
Overmatched.
But the past few games he's hitting. But who cares? Because you might as well now keep him up because you're not making the playoffs.
So again, if he looks like he's just working through it, then I can see, Pete, your point. You're not going to make the playoffs. If he's not overmatched and he's working through it, and it looks like there's a light at the end of the tunnel, then just let it play out. Let it keep going, because he does run. He does bring a speed out, and he's good defensively. As long as he doesn't look
and your alternative
overmatched.
Well,
if he looks overmatched, then that plays on your psyche. Like, can I actually do it at this level?
If only Mendoza has someone else to talk to and say, "Hey, you think he looks overmatched? You think I was going to take it?" And oh, dude, I don't know.
Only he had something.
JP Arancibia. He's on the bullpen.
Kai Correa, who's about as old as Carson.
But in MLB 2024, I played him and he did well.
Let's finish up our podcast.
Yes.
I wanted to definitely squeeze this in.
Yeah, sorry.
It's just nothing else is too depressing to talk about the Mets at this point. But Pete, you went to Japan and you let us know some observations that you saw these Swallows.
I saw the Yakult Swallows, which is there are two teams in Tokyo.
Sorry.
Well, I don't know what you were going to say.
I don't know, but don't make me beat things out, okay? Good.
There are two teams in Tokyo: the Tokyo Giants and the Yakult Swallows. And unfortunately, the Giants were traveling, so went to the Swallows game, who actually were playing pretty well. They were playing a team Baysoft. I forget where they were from, Henshin. So I don't know. So here's the thing. So you walk into the stadium. You're still focused on the Swallows. I mean, really? Are we 12?
No, it's who they're playing.
Baysoft, whatever, something like that. Anyway, we got children. I swear to God, all three of you. So. You walk into the stadium, and the stadium is looks old. You know what I mean? And it looks like, it's I can't even think of a stadium in the US that it's dated and so it's a little, that was a little surprising, but there and then you're watching them. First of all, they have the bullpen is on the field, and we used to have stadiums like that when we were growing up, where they had the bullpen on the sidelines, but we don't see them anymore. So it was kind of weird. And
maybe the Cubs. I think the Cubs might have been the last team, right, to do that.
I don't remember, but you're Penny. So you're watching them take like infield practice. Like we don't see that anymore. You know what I mean? And they're having a catch. Anyway, so the game is you're getting closer, and I swear, it just feels like a high school game to some extent. There's an enthusiasm with the players. There's even when the game starts, players are having a catch in front of the dugout. You know what I mean? I don't know who. Well, I don't know if there was a reason for it or not, but they're having a catch right in front of them, as if it was a high school game. You know what I mean? It was, and then when the game, and I was even during the game, you buy tickets to where you want to sit. So it says to you, you want a visiting side or the home side. So you're almost like it's a college football game. And they never stop chanting. So when the visiting team is up, the visiting were out there in right field, the whole thing was filled up. The stadium wasn't full, but that part was packed, and they never stop chanting. Okay. And then when they are done, then the home team goes, and they never stop singing and chanting, and they never stop. Okay. The quietest place you ever been, you can walk all through Tokyo in rush hour.
I saw that, yeah. So that repressed emotion. They go to the ball game, you let it out.
Every age is there. I had a 70-something-year-old tour guide, and we spent half the time talking about Shohei Ohtani. Okay, I mean, so I'm surrounded. These people, the age didn't matter. It was freezing. Okay, that day. And my wife couldn't make it past the fifth inning, so we left. But
what did you notice about the field, like the play on the field? That was the thing you would.
Well, I'm giving you, but it's baseball. I'm trying to give you some atmosphere stuff.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
They walk around. They like how concessions people used to do. Like they still do it, I guess, sometimes in baseball, but not as much. These girls come down dressed in like shorts and nothing, and it was freezing. They go to the front. They turn. Shut up, Carlos. They bow and then they walk up, and you can buy stuff from them, whatever. It's in between the innings, cheerleaders come out, and do a dance. The play on the field, look, man, they don't. There was a throw. There was a throw from the shortstop, or whatever. The right fielder backed up first base. Okay,
right.
High school game.
When was the last time you saw that in a major league game?
Oh my God!
Fundamentals.
Yeah.
Exactly.
The
fundamentals, but not just the fundamentals, like
hitting the cutoff,
the hustle. The
hitting the cutoff, right?
Everything. Yeah. Everyone's backing up. Everything. It's like,
and it's not just hitting the cutoff. I bet you had to hit the cutoff in the proper place. It's just right up here, right instead of.
Look, I mean, they're human beings. They make a mistake or whatever the case may be, and that kind of stuff. But they. But yeah, I was blown away when I saw the right fielder covering first base in a play. You know what I mean? I was like, wow. You know what I mean? And so yeah, fundamental. They were. They don't. I couldn't tell how fast they were throwing because there wasn't like the scoreboard was like this old fashioned scoreboard. I'm trying to find where the hell anything. I couldn't figure the pitch count sometimes, or whatever. I was trying to figure out how fast he was throwing, but they didn't have it, or at least I didn't see how fast because it didn't look. But
even that's like an invention that when we were younger, we didn't care how fast the pitch was. We just, admired the pitcher.
Well, right? But
he kept off speed. If he hit 95 miles an hour, it was like, ooh, wow. But the idea was keeping the header off balance with change of pace, change ups and sliders and curveballs and knuckleballs. Knuckleballs, you don't see knuckleballs thrown anymore. It's like the game has changed. Like I bet you if you stayed and watched a series of different games, you could probably dig deeper into all the differences between the way the Japanese play and the.
Well, here's the thing. I will say this: they're a lot more fun. I will tell you this: it is a lot more fun than going to a game in the States. I mean, maybe a playoff game. It is just fun. I mean, it is an experience, and they had a lot of fun. Here's the other thing that I know Ray will appreciate: the game. The game moves very fast without all the bullshit of a pitch clock and all that stuff. I mean, now granted, this was not a high-scoring game, so there wasn't like a lot of back and forth, like the guy on first base, and there was 25 pickoffs and all this stuff. But we were there, so it was so funny. It was like the coldest night. We went, and I was in a long sleeve shirt. My wife is in a jacket, and she was like, you want to go back? I'm fine. Meanwhile, I'm like there's a tear going down my eye. And we get to the ballpark, and it's a giveaway, and they were giving away Yakult Swallow jackets. They literally were giving away a sweat jacket that I was able to put. That's the only thing that saved me. You know what I mean? So the fifth is the game started at 6. We were in the 5th inning, like 7-10 or 7-15 or something like that. I mean, the game just like it's rigid. It's It's, by the way, no one is late for anything in Japan. Buses, trains, people, you're 5 minutes early, you're late. They must be, they were very rigid in terms of, I think they did 12 pitches between innings. Boom, they started their thing. That was it. There was no third. I don't know what was going on, like in terms of commercials or whatever, but it was, like I said, an hour and 10 minutes.
Question. They have they have a cutoff time for beer. Did you know? Or
I didn't see anything. No, I didn't stay till the end, but I didn't see anything.
Oh, right.
You know what I mean? That there was no indication of that. But
before the pitch clock, Pete,
what?
Yeah, before the pitch clock though was instituted in Major League Baseball, the umpires, it's in the rules. The umpires would get the game moved. The umpires, in their judgment, would tell the batter to get in the batter's box, and if the batter wasn't in the batter's box, they would call a strike in the batter. The umpires had more control. No, I'm saying that the Japanese, all I'm suggesting is maybe the Japanese, same rules, one would assume. And the umpires actually don't mess around. They say, let's go, let's get in the box. Because it didn't happen in Major League Baseball, for whatever reason, because umpires, I don't know. I don't know. I think it's the pitch clock.
I also don't know about commercials or anything like that.
Well,
but
Ray, the stars get preferential treatment. They're allowed to bend the rule. And that's the thing. If you just keep the rule for everyone, then you get what Pete saw.
Well, the thing is, you didn't see a lot of stepping out like we would normally see. You didn't see a lot of, like I said, it wasn't a high-scoring game, so I don't know about but there wasn't a lot of pitching changes. But there wasn't a lot of stepping out by the hitters. That it was when they were done with that pitch, they were on the mound pitching. I don't know if that game was not. Now I would tell you that I went back to the hotel at one point. At any one point, I could turn on the TV, and there were like 6 baseball games going on the TV that I could have watched. So I'm assuming it was televised, but it was, when I thought about that, I was like, Ray will get a kick out of this. It moves. It's a ton of fun.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. That's good.
It's kind of enough with the adjusting your batting gloves and your helmet and all the little rituals.
I didn't mind that though. I don't mind that.
It was too. What's the guy they called?
I don't mind that.
Timeout, whatever.
Was it Julio Franco used to
open? Like Pete and I, we said this before. When Pete and I played in the backyard, we pose as different hitters and stuff. We would go through those motions. That's part of. Look, to me, that's part of the game.
Yeah, a stance is different than adjusting your 20 minutes, adjusting your batting.
Well, it's part of that. Well, 20 minutes. It wasn't 20 minutes, but
Before we kill it, let me tell you this other. So the other part when I said, so their Hall of Fame is attached to Tokyo Dome, where the Giants are, and
which is weird, right? That it's attached to one team's.
Yeah, I don't.
It's not like a separate site, in other words.
Yeah, they moved it over there from somewhere else. I don't know what they'll think, but I got to tell you, man, somebody from baseball has been around in Japan almost as long as it's been in the United States. Okay, somebody from that league needs to get on a plane and go to Cooperstown to see what a Hall of Fame looks like, because this was the most, like, I was expecting. I don't know. I mean, it's like it was rooms dedicated to Shohei Ohtani, an enormous room dedicated to the World Baseball Classic. Okay, they had the plaques. Okay, they had like tons of of the current uniforms. Very little of like the memorabilia. Like I should even the memorabilia. A lot of it was of U.S. players. Babe Ruth's bat from 1932 Barcelona. Mike Piazza's catching gear from one of the. It was just. And here's the other thing. Nothing in English. Okay, or very very little. Like I went to a museum, which by the way, Ray, as a side note. When you go to a museum, a lot of times you have to think about going from the left to the right if you want to see something chronological rather than the right to the left. So you go and it's like you see something. There was nothing, like they were showing highlights of the WBC from like the last time they won, all in Japanese, not even like subtitles in English. I'm not saying that we're the thing, but I will tell you this much: there were a whole lot more English-speaking people in Japan while I was there than anything else. You know what I mean? Maybe some Spanish things, whatever. Not even subtitles. So to read the inscriptions on these things, I had to take out Google Translate and let it do it. So it was really that their plaques. I just was very surprised.
Not fan friendly.
Not fan friendly, but also I was very surprised. You know, unless there's another Hall of Fame. But when I happened to just see it and I go and they said this is their Hall of Fame.
Yeah, it is weird. It's like baseball taking Hall of Fame and putting in Yankee Stadium. So everybody's.
I was going to say the same thing.
To say. Yeah.
Well, yeah, but you know what?
Because the Giants are like the Yankees.
It would look nicer than this one. I mean, this was like basically.
Yeah, I know what you mean. They don't have like they probably didn't have like display cases showing like, from this famous game.
Like here's Shohei Ohtani's bat. And here's Shohei Ohtani's
job. Yeah, it was all Shohei Ohtani, yeah.
Which is fine.
Well, that's like their Babe Ruth.
I get it, to be excited about him. But then you get a whole thing. But like, where is, yes, there was some Sadahara O stuff. But like, they have great players. I don't know who they are. You know what I mean? But I would like to have read about some of these guys.
Right. Or about some games, about historical games,
Historical games.
The history when they started, who got credit for.
There was some of that, Carlos, but you get frustrated after a while trying to translate it. You know what I mean? So like,
any Ichiro Suzuki?
Not as much as
no Matsui.
Other than he's in the Hall of Fame. No.
No, Kaz Matsui.
Well, one thing I want it ties to the Japanese. The I don't know if you guys noticed. Remember the guy who couldn't hit a 95-mile-an-hour fastball?
The guy hitting 5 home runs in a row. 5 days. Yeah,
he's got 11 home runs. Yeah. It's like what?
Yeah,
it's like when you see it, it's like, well, so much for these scouts because. Or nobody's listening and they keep throwing them off speed pitches.
What scouts, Benny? What scouts? That's what I would say.
Yeah, well, that's true too.
Right? That's
it's just AI telling you.
Exactly.
I got to tell you this. And we got to stop the breath. But I would tell you, I wish if I had anything like a thing, I wanted to sit with trapped in a basement with David Stern so we could have a conversation. There's nowhere to go. I would love to understand how is the game better today? With all these, with no scouts or very few scouts, all sabermetric driven, or a lot, pitch counts. Let's not go past 5 in. I wish I can't think of a way to. I've thought about this a lot to be able to quantify some of these things and do it. And I don't know what that is. I would love for somebody though to have that discussion who can support it and tell me why we're better, why the game is better today than it was.
I think there probably is a way. And when you bring that up, because during a Yankee game, when they were playing Boston, they were talking about someone who spoke to a scout, one of the Yankee scouts. And this was the same guy who found Ben Rice and Cam Schlittler. So this was an individual. This was not somebody used. There's no AI, no computer. And these were not high round draft picks. These were not. Schlittler was throwing in the low 90s. Rice was. It was a 4th or 5th round. These were people who someone saw and said, "I see something here that could be developed." That's the one thing at this point that you can't. AI cannot. It's just going to look at what numbers are. Look at Ray said. Give me the metrics based on this. It does the math. It doesn't.
But a lot of our scouting
break down. There's no gut feeling to what it's seeing. And there's no history to what it's seeing. What I've seen this before in this other picture 20 years ago.
But a lot of that scouting is done by videotape and someone sitting in a room looking at, as opposed to being there and
talking to the kid after the game,
talking to the kid after the game, following the thing. And I'll take it a step further. Even just going out and scouting when you want to make a trade and scouting the minor leagues. But really, again, I'm not saying that you can't watch a video of a Cam Schlittler or a Ben Rice and see those things, right? But the truth is, probably in that case, I would probably bet that they weren't high picks. They probably somebody was there watching it. But
of course.
Of all the things, and Pete knows this because I used to share this with him when I did the representation of minor league players with the hope that I'd be a millionaire today. That didn't happen. But one of the things I would share with Pete, and it's probably looking back on it, is probably the best part of what I did when I did that, was going out and sitting in the stands, because we were trying to recruit players to sign them, sitting next to a scout that's been doing it for 30 years and listening to what the scout has to say about this player or that player. And it's just, That is priceless. A conversation like that, an experienced scout telling you about the player, talking about what
there's no way to
dimensions.
replace that. How do you replace
I don't
that?
want to
It's
sound
impossible.
as much as we joke about the geezer. I'm not looking to say that technology doesn't help these things and not there. But what and I'm sure that there's a balance between scouting and doing it. But the thing is, I just want to understand how the game is better when with this pitch for 5 innings. I've been listening. Last thing, a lot of hard time I had sleeping while I was in Japan. What I would do is I'd find these. I went to an old time baseball site and I downloaded old games. So I downloaded like a 1973 World Series game, Tom Seaver pitching. I downloaded 1975 Game 6. Different games to listen to, and I started thinking, and it's like the quality of the pitching back then. You know what I mean? Versus, when's the last time that we saw a pitching staff that was anywhere near, something that we would have seen in the 70s, the Braves back in the 90s, with Avery,
Yeah.
Evan,
You mean like that Orioles staff from the 70s?
Well, the Orioles staff in the 70s, it's like where at what point you can't find a pitcher, Nolan Ryan or Tom Seaver when he was alive, or Bob Gibson, who will sit there and say, no, it's so much better if a pitcher. I wish I had known, throw 5 innings as hard as I can and get out of the game. That's not. I mean, there's no.
It's an excellent point, Pete. It's an excellent point. It's an excellent point. It's about learning how to develop grit, how to work through something so you can pitch the next few innings. These players don't have any. I mean, they don't. There's no grit. Garrett Cole, these old time. Now they're old timers. They're the few guys that have built up the gumption, the grit to get through an inning, to get through a difficult circumstance. Otherwise, you don't even get a chance to do it. So when you are faced with it
now, if you're out of gas, the next guy's coming in.
Right.
Out of gas, the next guy's coming in.
Jim Palmer was talking about the fact, going through and facing a lineup for the 3rd time. He goes, you know why they can't face a lineup for the 3rd time? Because you gave them everything the first 2 times you saw them. You didn't hold anything back for that 3rd time. Because I would go entire games where I didn't show a curveball until that 3rd time through.
Exactly.
Right? It's like, because you gave
them art. It's an art form. But that's an art form. Exactly. I agree.
It's logic.
And the A's, by the way, the Moneyball movie, the book, whatever. The point of that with the sabermetrics was a team cornering the market, doing something different than anybody else was doing because they had to, right?
Because of an advantage.
But then to Pete's point, is it any longer an advantage when everybody's doing it?
Well, that's the problem, right? All the data, the sabermetrics, the AI is supposed to be a tool, not supposed to take over.
Here's the problem with Moneyball. Here's the problem with Moneyball. It's a myth. Okay, because the truth is what they don't tell you about Moneyball, but the part they leave out is a starting staff of Hudson, Zito, Mulder. Okay, 3 Cy Young caliber pitchers. They don't ever talk about Tejada. You know what I mean? Chavez. They talk about Giambi left and how we're going to replace him when we get Scott Hatterberg. And look how smart we are because we couldn't.
Well, the scouting got underrated. Yeah, the scouting got.
Well, I'm saying, but they forget the fact
they had top scouts.
The fact that Tejada was an MVP, Chavez was an MVP caliber player. Jermaine Dye hit 30 home runs for that team. They completely ignore all that the 3 starting pitchers, and they just talk about look at this guy who throws.
Look, we had Chad Bradford, who was
Chad Bradford, right? So it's a bit of a myth. Okay, it's a bit of this fairy tale about how they did. Yes, they did. They got Scott Hatterberg. Isn't that cute? To replay, they couldn't afford Jason Giambi. But you also had Miguel Tejada, Eric Chavez, Jermaine Dye, and a pitching set for 3 Cy Young winners.
And really, one thing to tie it to kind of what's going on now with the NFL draft, with as much video and technology that they have, what do you always hear is a big differentiator when they meet the person? They get them in a room. They speak to them. What kind of person are you? What's your retention when they start taking through a playbook? It's that always there's enough footage that they can see. I always say, and I've been saying it on my own thing, what are you showing me after the season that I haven't already seen on film in games? I call it the underwear Olympics when they go to the combine. You're in shorts and a t-shirt. What more are you showing me that I haven't already seen on film? but it always is when you hear we had dinner with this person, we had him in our facility, we took him through. That's almost always will tip the scale to between two players. That'll tip the scale. Whereas you don't. That's the one thing you could be losing in other sports, but in football,
it's different though. You only
it's
get
100%.
Right.
What's that?
I
mean, yeah, it's less play.
You're only going to draft this many and invest in this, so you gotta do that. But you're right. But the thing
it's
is,
good to know someone's makeup. Like Ray said, the grit. Does a person have that kind of grit?
Absolutely. How are we better as a baseball? How is Major League Baseball better today than it was 30 years ago because of all these things? I don't understand. I wish somebody could show me how it's better. I don't get it.
You get to go home earlier by 20 minutes.
No, I'm not talking about that stuff. I'm talking about the throw as hard as you can for 5 innings. And
speaking of that, did you guys see the Tim Salmon podcast that he spoke about where he was complaining? He goes, and I don't even know if this is true. He goes, when he played, the speed of the pitch was measured as it was crossing home plate. Yeah. Now it's measured when it's coming out of the player's hand.
I heard something about that.
So he goes, Randy Johnson, if he threw 97, 98 then, today he'd be throwing 105, 106. That I don't buy.
Yeah,
because that means everybody who was throwing 98 then would be throwing or if someone threw 100 then, they were throwing 107 today.
No, I don't.
I think it's he's mathematically he is correct. The ball is faster coming out of your hand by the time it gets to home plate. It is slower. That's a fact.
It's air. Measured differently, but 107. I don't. That's
I don't know about that. I don't know about that. I agree.
Yeah, that was his thing. Right. It was like Grandpa, get off my lawn type.
We could have a great evergreen podcast.
Yeah, that's
there we go. We'll do that.
I would do that. But great job today, guys. And
good stuff, Pete. Welcome back, man.
And
Ray,
I don't know what to
go soon. We'll get his impression of mine. Maybe he'll see the game differently than I did.
Wait till Nashville.
You be there, Ray?
Well, I'll just wait till Nashville.
Oh,
you're going to Japan?
No, I'm just joking. I'm just making a reference to what happened in Pittsburgh. So, yeah, I'm going to go to Japan in about a month, and then I'll share my thoughts. But I think that was excellent insight that you brought, Pete. Thank you. Okay, well, I think I know how to end this podcast. The little video clips I put at the end. So stay tuned for that.
And off the Verrazano Bridge.
Yes. Until next week. Until next week, we are the Diamond Geezers, and you are not.